Hi folks, Mark here, Views from Mark. As always, I hope wherever you are in the world that you're keeping safe, healthy and are well. In today's video, this is an unboxing of what I have termed as a holy grail item for me, and that is no exaggeration. This is something that was sent to me. It arrived this morning, first thing this morning, direct from Switzerland. It was sent overnight, but this is an item that has been over, I would say, 15 months in the making, or rather from the point when I originally saw this item to being able to actually get my hands on one and having it delivered to me. It's been about 15 months, but without further ado, I'm just going to crack straight into this unboxing, and then once I've revealed what's inside this package, I will give you the full backstory about that 15-month journey. So let's check it out. So as you can see, the package has arrived direct from Switzerland. It arrived via DHL this morning, Friday the 13th of January 2023. It's got some decent packaging on it, so it looks pretty well protected. What I'm going to do is we'll start off by opening up some of these kind of straps, I suppose you'd call them. Some of these plastic pieces. We'll take these off. You can see this is where they did all the documents enclosed and what have you for it. I'll just remove these off to the side for now, and then I believe I can turn this over, and then I should just be able to do an unboxing. So you're probably going to get a perfect view of this before I do, but what I will do is turn this around and slide out the contents. Righty, so we've got a lovely book and also a personal note. So this is something that's been sent to me by Amiga. This is actually from the CEO of Amiga himself, Reynold, and it simply says, "Wishing you lots of joy with the book. Best regards, Reynold." So that is something very special. That's obviously going to go straight into my collection as well, and it will be staying with this item. But I can reveal, as you may be able to see, if I turn this around, you can kind of make out what it is through the bubble wrap. We shall open this up, and really well packaged and protected, I must say, which is great for something that is this precious and this rare, and I'll go into the full story behind that as we go. But there we go, remove that. Here we have it. This is a sealed, brand new copy of Daniel Craig's Bond by Greg Williams. And to give you some context about what this is, Greg Williams is a world famous photographer. He's photographed countless celebrities. His work is everywhere. He does all the film festivals like Cannes. He does a lot of the awards ceremonies, whether that's the BAFTAs, the Oscars, the Golden Globes. He's always there photographing celebrities, creating some amazing images, but he also does on-set photography. So all the behind-the-scenes photos that you see from the Bond films, as well as many other films, a lot of them are done by Greg. He's an amazing photographer, amazing artist, and he has photographed Casino, Quantum, Skyfall, and No Time to Die. And this book contains photos from that film journey. It is a catalogue, if you want, of a lot of the iconic images that you will have seen before, but as well, I imagine there are many, many images that have never seen the light of day contained within this marvellous book. Now this is something that was produced in collaboration with Amiga, and that's why Amiga have been the people that have sent me a copy of this book. There were only ever 1,000 of these books produced, so they're incredibly limited, very rare, unbelievably valuable, but these were handed out to members of the film crew from No Time to Die, as well as obviously to Barbara and Michael, Eon themselves, and it was kind of split between the film, Eon and Amiga, and as well, of course, Greg retained several copies himself. But as I say, this is a limited edition book. There's only 1,000 of them. This one is number 924 of 1,000. It says down here on the sticker on the outside of the book. Now, what I will do is I will take off the plastic wrapping from this, and I think I know, I can tell you what is going to be on the inside page of this book, because I have seen people open up this book before on other channels, and there is a universal theme that runs throughout, in that there will be a letter inside the cover of this book from none other than Greg Williams himself, who is obviously the owner of the copyright to all of the images within this book. So what I will do is I'm being very careful as I'm opening this up. This is such an honour and a privilege to have been able to not only get one of these books, but to have it sent by Amiga and Reynold himself. I can't express my gratitude enough. So yeah, if I open up this book, we've got obviously black pages within, a white page, and then here we go. There is the aforementioned letter, and it's from Greg Williams Photography, signed by Greg Williams, dated 2021, and it says, "This book celebrates over 20 years of hard work on behalf of the extended Bond family and contains many personal, never before seen images. We respectfully ask that you help keep it special by refraining from sharing, reproducing, or posting any of the images contained within. Thank you." Signed by Greg Williams. So that obviously precludes me from showing you the contents of this book, which I know will be very frustrating, and I know people will be dying to know what's inside the book and the images that have never been seen before. However, from a photography point of view and as an artist's point of view, I fully respect that letter and that request. You know, Greg is well within his rights to request that, and it does make the book that little bit more special. And I know there's some people that might post images that are within this book. I've seen people do it before. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to respectfully honour the wishes of Greg, the artist, and not do that. But I wanted to give you an insight into the journey that I've been on trying to get a copy of this book, because it has been a 15-month, I think, if not slightly longer, journey between when I first saw this book. It was quite innocuous. I didn't realise at the start just how special what I was flicking through was, but I can tell you the exact date that I saw this book for the first time and was able to have a flick through the pages. And it was the 29th of September, 2021. It was the week of the release of No Time to Die, and I was down in London at the Burlington Arcade, where they had a full Bond installation, full Bond theme throughout the arcade, the full length of the arcade. There was the classic gun barrel photo opportunity that you could have a walk through, get your selfies there. But also there was a pop-up Amiga boutique that was decked out to look like M's office. There was a desk, there was the portraits of M on the wall that were on loan from Eon Productions themselves. And on M's desk was a copy of this book. And whilst I was in the boutique, having a martini that they'd generously made for me, which was amazing and incredibly strong, I can tell you, I was flicking through this book and I started to realise I've never seen a lot of the images that are in this book. In fact, I've never even heard of this book before. So I inquired with the staff and the manager there, what is this book exactly? And they told me the story behind it, that it was a collaboration between Greg Williams, Amiga and Eon, where they wanted to kind of catalogue the tenure of Daniel Craig's Bond in one book with, again, a lot of these never before seen photos. And as I say, this was something that was incredibly rare, and I inquired about the book. I said, oh, is it possible to get a copy? And the staff were really friendly, really lovely, and the manager said, unfortunately not, really. There's only 1,000 of these books ever been produced. They're split between the film crew, Eon, obviously Greg, and Amiga, and they've only been sent to the boutiques, so they're not really available, and they certainly weren't for sale. So this was something that kind of whetted my appetite, you could say, because obviously it's something that isn't easy to get hold of. It's very rare. There's only 1,000 of them. So when you hear these kind of things, it makes you think, oh wow, this is amazing. So I flicked through the book some more. The images that I saw, that I remember seeing anyway, were incredible. All of Greg's work is. I mean, you just have to look at his website to see the quality of the work that he produces. So anyway, I left the boutique and I asked the regional manager for the UK if there's ever an opportunity to get hold of one of these books. They knew me as a customer, and they knew how much of a Bond fan I was and am. And I said, if there's ever an opportunity, please do keep me in mind. I left them my details, which they had anyway, and left it at that. Now, I didn't hear or expect to hear anything more from them. Fast forward to the new year, January, February time of 2022, and I was speaking with a now good friend of mine, Matthew Gibbs, and he was lucky enough to actually get one of these books. And I don't know how he did it, or I didn't know how he did it, but I had a million questions, as you can imagine. So I inquired with him, how did he go about, getting one of these books? What would he suggest as an approach to inquiring about getting one of these books? And he's been fantastic, I must say, over the course of 2022 and even more recently, where I've had some delays in terms of getting my hands on this book and this item. He's been unbelievably supportive, has given great advice, and he pointed me in the right directions, and he gave me some great ideas in terms of how to approach trying to get my name on a list, if it was possible, to get hold of one of these books. And to cut a very long story short, I did fire off a couple of emails at the start of 2022, kind of January, February time, hoping I would hear something back, even if it was negative and it was a firm no. Just to hear something would have been great. Unfortunately, I didn't hear anything back. And months passed and I was still kind of thinking, well, how might I be able to get my name on a list at least to be considered for one of these fantastic books? And it came to around the 60th anniversary time, October 2022, and there were events in London, and I saw Matthew again in person, and we met up a few times throughout the course of the autumn going into winter, and he had been on his own journey and his own mission to try and get some signatures for his own book. So the likes of the producers, Barbara and Michael, he wanted to get to sign the book, and also Greg Williams himself, and ideally Daniel Craig. So it was during the course of his own journey trying to get these signatures that it kind of rekindled my desire to want to try and get a copy of this book myself. And I tried a few more avenues, a few more ideas that I thought could open some doors. And as it turned out, Matthew was getting his book signed by Greg, and he was dropping his book off at Greg's studio in London. And I met up with Matthew on this particular day in London. And he said, they've been very friendly, very accommodating. They're all really nice at Greg's studio. He gave me some contact information. So I thought, well, I'll try, and see if there's any opportunity to put my name on a list, or if they have any that might be available. So I contacted Greg's studio, and of course they were really great in coming back to me. And they said what I expected already, that they're absolutely not for sale, these books. And the only real way that they might, not even confirmed, but might be able to gift one was through an indirect kind of Bond-related package, buying something through the store, and obviously, that would then put you in consideration for one of the books, potentially. But the price was beyond my financial situation at the time, and I had to say I really appreciate them coming back to me, but unfortunately that's not within my price frame at the moment. But if anything becomes available in the future, please do let me know. So I left it at that. During around that time also, I did reach out to a couple more contacts, and I hadn't heard anything back further on that. So I thought at this point talking kind of middle of November that was it. I'd exhausted all avenues that I could think of, and without wanting to go down the route of keeping an eye out for any that might come up for auction online, again, the prices that these books have gone for, the few that have come up for auction, are prohibitively expensive. We're talking in the tens of thousands of pounds. That's just how rare. And whether you agree with that pricing or not, if there's a market for it, people will pay that. It was out of my scope of reach, but I didn't want to go down that route anyway. So we fast forward then to the end of November 2022 and the release of the 60th anniversary Bond watch, or the two Bond watches. And I was down in London on this particular Thursday. It was the morning after the launch event that took place in London. And I happened to go into the Omega boutique where they had the new Bond watch on display, and you could go in, check it out, try it on, and get all the details about the watch. And I just so happened to run into one of their senior executives who was over in London, obviously for the launch. And we got chatting and we were talking about the watch, and he gave me his business card, and I said, I will actually email you about something on an off chance that he might be able to help. And he said, please do. So the following day, it was the Friday, I think it was the 25th of March, I sent him an email in the morning whilst it was fresh in his head and mine, and said it was great to meet you. By the way, I hate to be cheeky, but I wanted to ask if there's any advice you could give me on this book. And he was very, very quick to reply. Within 15 minutes, he came back to me and said he'd have a look into it. Thank you for my passion and enthusiasm. It's always great to meet fans of the brand and the collaboration that they have with Bond, etc. So he'd have a look into it and come back to me. Later that afternoon, on the Friday, I actually had an email back from someone that I had emailed previously about this book. And without going into too many details about who it was and everything else, because I don't want to have them flooded with emails as well, they came back to me and said, I'm very pleased to say that we can exceptionally grant you a copy of this book. If you'd like to let us know your name and address and telephone number, we will arrange to get this shipped out to you. So of course at that point, my head was exploding with excitement. I was buzzing. I went back to them straight away, thanked them so much, and gave them my details. And I also went back to the gentleman that I'd emailed in the morning, who I'd met the previous day, and said, by pure coincidence, I've just heard back from this person who's agreed to grant me a copy of the book. I said I wasn't sure if it's maybe any influence of yours that's helps you here, or if it's pure coincidence, but thank you for your time and consideration anyway. And it's good to build up those kind of positive relationships and network, because that's the key to being able to get hold of something like this, is it's nurturing relationships with people, with companies, with brands. Everything is built around relationships, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to build quite a nice relationship with Omega, with whether it's their staff in their London boutiques, who are all unbelievably fantastic, welcoming, gracious, helpful, or if it's some of the senior executives from the firm, in this case the gentleman that I met on that Thursday in the boutique. But I was so excited. As I say, I sent off my details. I was in my head expecting, I'll have the book come through within a few days, because from what I've heard from other people who've also been granted a copy of this book, they arrived pretty quick. So a couple of weeks went past and I hadn't heard anything, so I sent through a follow-up email and just said, just so I can make sure I'm at home whenever this is due to be delivered, because I didn't want it left outside or, go missing or anything like that. I said, if there's any tracking information you can let me know, that would be great. To cut a very long story short, in December I was then ill over the course of December, from about the 12th right through Christmas and New Year, up until the start of this week, when I decided I'd send a follow-up email, which I did because I hadn't heard anything, and I wasn't sure if emails had got lost over the Christmas period, or sometimes they go into spam folders and things like this. I just wanted to kind of double check in. Wednesday afternoon, I hadn't heard anything back, so I decided to send an email to the gentleman that I'd met previously in London, first thing Thursday morning, which I did. By Thursday midday, I had an email back with the tracking information and telling me that the book was on its way, and that originally there had been an issue with the address and some of the details or something, but it was all solved now. And literally within 24 hours, I'm now sat here with this gorgeous book, which I'm itching to have a flick through now. But I wanted to give you guys a view of this unboxing, give you the backstory behind it, because these things don't come overnight, you know, obviously, well, in this case it did. Since yesterday it's come overnight, but this has been a 15-month journey and nurturing and building on relationships. That means that I've been granted, I'm in a very fortunate position, and I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to be in the position to be gifted one of these fabulous books. But also I've mentioned before on my Instagram channel that I have a deeper connection to this. It's not just because it is a Bond related item. My background was film and photography for many years, so from a photography point of view, this is a holy grail item for me anyway. From a Bond point of view, this is a holy grail item for me as well. So it ticks a lot of boxes for me in terms of being unbelievably special, unbelievably precious. It's something I will never part with, without a doubt. It's something I will get insured, especially because from prices that I've seen that these have sold for on the private market, and from what I've been quoted would be a spend that would need to be made in order to be considered to be gifted one of these. I think it's definitely worth it. Plus I want to make sure it's protected. So once again, massive thank you to Amiga. It's an unexpected treat to have that note as well from their CEO. So thank you once again to those folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, do by all means leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, do give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you get a post whenever I post something new. But as I say, unbelievably lucky to have received one of these books. Can't wait to flick through it, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay well wherever you are in the world, and until the next time, I'll catch you all very soon. Thanks very much.